United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Then we're going to move on to the roll call, Linda.
Kiefhofer,
Here.
DeHaven,
Here.
Spruill,
Here.
Rainey,
Here.
Yazzie, Dobry,
Here.
Medina.
Here. All right, recognize that we have all of council here, so we have a quorum. And then I'll ask for approval of the agenda, or would anyone like to change or add anything to our agenda as is?
I move that council approve the agenda for June 13th, 2023.
Second.
Motion made by DeHaven and seconded by Dobry. Any other discussion before vote? No? Okay.
DeHaven,
Aye.
Yazzie,
Aye.
Rainey,
Aye.
Dobry,
Aye.
Kiefhofer,
Aye.
Spruill,
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. Okay, we're going to move on to number 2 on our regular meeting agenda, the consent agenda. The listing under consent agenda is a group of items to be acted on with a single motion and vote. This agenda is designated to expedite the handling of limited routine matters by City Council. Either the public or a council member may request that an item may be removed from the consent agenda at the time prior to council's vote. On our consent agenda is A, approval of the council work session and agenda minutes of May 23rd, 2023. B, approval of the expenditure list for June 13th, 2023. C, approval of a renewal application for a retail marijuana store license / retail marijuana cultivation facility for Rennie Rules LLC, doing business as Doobie Sisters / Doobie Sisters Botanics, located at 695 North Broadway, Unit 1 and Unit 2, Cortez. D, approval of a renewal application for a retail marijuana center license for New View Pharma LLC to be located at 503 Patton Street, Cortez. E, approval of a renewal fermented malt beverage and wine liquor license for Western Refining Retail LLC, DBA Speedway number 9499, located at 921 East Main Street, Cortez. F, approval of a renewal hotel and restaurant liquor license for Cashmere LLC, doing business as Lots of Pasta and That's a Pizza, located at 439 East Main Street, Cortez. G, approval of a renewal hotel and restaurant liquor license for Ocean Pearl of Cortez, LLC, DBA Ocean Pearl Chinese Restaurant, located at 300 East Main Street, Cortez. H, approval of a renewal tavern liquor license for A&S LLC, DBA Angels End Zone, located at 309 North Broadway, Cortez. And I, approval of an outdoor dining agreement between the City of Cortez and Community Radio Project, Inc., DBA KSJD, located at 2 through 8 East Main Street, Cortez. Would a citizen or any council member wish to have any specific item removed from the consent agenda for discussion, or is there a motion to approve as is?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Dobry and seconded by Yazzie.
Kiefhofer,
Aye.
Rainey,
Aye.
DeHaven,
Aye.
Yazzie,
Aye.
Dobry,
Aye.
Spruill,
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. Okay. We're going to move on to 3 on our agenda, which is public participation. We do have public comment, so there's no limit to the number of speakers, although public comment will be held to an overall time limit of 30 minutes. Speakers have a time limit of 3 minutes per person, may only speak once, and may not cede time to another commenter. All right, so we're going to start with Susan. If you could come to the podium, make sure the mic is on, the green light, and start with your name and address.
Hi.
Hi.
Susan Chemnitz, 511 South Cedar Street. And one of the comments I wanted to make was just that this deal with the hospital, it's a good idea when you make your comments if you can actually suggest a solution. And I know that's going to be hard when you're the public, you know, if they haven't found their own solution. The other thing, I wanted to address the council resolution concerning Pride Month. My objection to this resolution is that it favors a group of people over everyone else. Over and over, this resolution emphasizes values and rights and denounces prejudices and discrimination. Why are those the right only for a certain group of people? All citizens should be treated equally. Everyone faces marginalization throughout their lives. I've been discriminated against as a female, being told I couldn't lift a bucket of oats when I was perfectly capable of lifting and stacking 100-pound bales of hay repeatedly. As a single person, constantly discriminated against because I was paid less than what other people with spouses or families were paid. But I was doing the same work that they were, and in fact, a lot of the times I was picking up work because they were off because their children were sick. I could go on about all these examples. I have lots of them. That's just the tip of the iceberg, but all my life I've struggled to have people see me as a person. When you are regarded as a sexual object, it is easier for someone to marginalize you. Just look at how murdered prostitutes cases are lots of times given little attention. If you want to be seen as a person and have people treat you with dignity, stop throwing your sexual preferences in people's face, join the rest of the human race, and be truly wonderful human being that God made you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Susan. I'd like to invite Lindsay Yeager now to public comment. And just start with your name and address. Make sure the mic's on.
Lindsay Yeager, 822 Edith Street. I'm here tonight to share my utter disgust, fear, and heartbreak over the closure of the Family Birthing Center at Southwest Health System. Tonight, I'm asking the City Council to pass a resolution opposing the closure and urge you to join the fight. This closure certainly affects women who are pregnant and planning to give birth, but it also affects so many more people. The hospital is saying that that they will continue to have OBGYNs to do gynecological care, but having these doctors who can't perform births is like hiring a skilled home builder and only allowing him to clean your gutters. These doctors will certainly leave, and the hospital will certainly not pay their large salaries to do 1/3 of their jobs. So really the headline should be that SHS is stopping providing women's health services. They claim the closure is temporary, but the CEO himself admitted in an employee forum last week that there's no reopening plan of the unit, it's not something he's planning for, and that it will be the responsibility of the next CEO. There's a whole population of women who receive gynecological care for non-pregnancy related conditions. These doctors also provide care for women experiencing birth and gynecological emergency, things ER, EMTs, and ER staff are not experienced in or do not receive extensive training in. If the birth center closes, there is no women's care in Cortez. Women experiencing emergencies like a ruptured ectopic pregnancy, an ovarian torsion, or a postpartum bleed after a home birth will experience worse outcomes, including death. Make no doubt about it, the most dangerous thing a woman will do in her lifetime is experience pregnancy and give birth. You may be asking yourself what you can do to help with the situation, and I'd ask that you join the fight. First, consider a resolution, send a clear message with one voice. Secondly, visit our Facebook page called Keep Birthing Center Open in Cortez, Colorado. There you'll find countless Facebook stories, women sharing their photos, being brave and vulnerable with their community. They are proud to have given birth in Cortez. Today I read of a woman planning to travel to Monticello to give birth to her child, an embarrassment to us all. Your voices, your support, and your presence at future meetings sends a powerful message. Lastly, I'd ask you to join in partnership with Southwest Health and any other entity within the community to try and prevent the closure of the Family Birthing Center if possible, and at minimum to advocate for a delay in the closure for better planning, staff training, and transition of care. There is no question that we're on the brink of a healthcare emergency, but I do believe if we all work together, we can prevent the devastating effects that becoming a maternity desert will bring to Montezuma County. I'm happy to answer any questions or provide clarity on my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. All right, do we have any more from the public that would like to make a comment on anything not on our agenda? Okay. I'll close the public comment section and we'll move on to 4 on our agenda. 4A, 4 is presentations, and 4A is the award of the Colorado Grant Scholarship to Mancos High School senior Sophie Eschler. Is that how you say it? Eschler. Okay. Sorry. All right. Who's got the award?
I've got something I'd like to say.
Okay. Thank you, Dennis.
The City of Cortez is excited to announce that the Colorado Grant $10,000 scholarship has been awarded to Mancos High School senior Sophia Eschler. Sophie is attending University of Denver in the fall of 2023. Sophie is the daughter of a local business owner and an elementary school teacher. The Colorado Grant is a charity car tour which donates money to small towns, charities, and scholarships. Their scholarship is open to all high school seniors in the county that the Colorado Grant stops in and who is going to a Colorado or Utah school in the fall of 2023. The information went to all high school counselors, the media, and was posted on the city's social media. This was the Colorado Grant's first time through Cortez, and they commented that everyone that participated in the tour loved the roads, the people, and the lunch stop. They said they will do their best to come back to Cortez soon. Hosting the event was a partnership between the City of Cortez Parks and Recreation Department and the Pinion Project. Several of our community organizations benefited from the $31,500 in donations directly from Colorado Grant or earmarked contributions from its members, and Sophia Eschler has been awarded $10,000 for her education. I was on part of the committee, and I will tell you there was 16 other applicants. Every one of them deserved this. But the best of the best came out. You did a great job. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. If you're the leader of our, if you're the future leaders of our country, we're in good shape. So the City of Cortez thanks you, and we want to present you, the whole City Council, if I could get everybody to join us.
All right.
So just everybody should know, she wrote up a what do you call it, a thesis or a report, an application, essay. And her essay was so fantastic. It was about mountain biking and how it applied to living. And she did a fantastic job.
All right, and John Brooks, before you leave, I just want to say thank you for being a good host and liaison for this event. Really appreciate it, and I think that's part of why they have a good view on our community, so thanks. Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to 4B, Proclamation for Pride Month in the City of Cortez. Proclamation, June 2023 as LGBTQ2S+ Pride Month in the City of Cortez. Whereas every person should be able to live without fear of prejudice, discrimination, violence, and hatred based on race, religion, gender identity, and/or sexual orientation. And whereas LGBTQ2S+ Pride events have taken place around the country every June to commemorate the beginning of the Stonewall riots, and June is celebrated as LGBTQ2S+ Pride Month nationwide. And whereas the City of Cortez has a diverse LGBTQ2S+ community that involves people of all ethnicities, religions, ages, and professions. And whereas the City of Cortez cherishes the value and dignity of each person and appreciates the importance of equality and freedom. And whereas all are welcome to the City of Cortez to live, work, play, and every family in any shape deserves a place to call home where they are safe, happy, and supported by friends and neighbors. And whereas the city denounces prejudice and discrimination based on age, gender identity, gender expression, race, color, religion, marital status, national origin, sexual orientation, or physical attributes as an affront to our fundamental principles. And whereas it is imperative that young people in our community of all sexual orientations, gender identities, and expressions feel valued, safe, empowered, and supported by their peers and community leaders. And whereas, despite being marginalized, LGBTQ2S+ people can continue to celebrate authenticity, acceptance, and love. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of Cortez, on behalf of all residents of the City of Cortez, does hereby proclaim June 2023 as Pride Month in the City of Cortez and urges all residents to respect and honor our diverse community, to celebrate and build a culture of inclusiveness and acceptance. Adopted this on the 13th day of June 2023. Okay, sign.
Madam Mayor, can I make a quick comment?
Please.
As someone who just retired from teaching for 29 years and someone who's volunteered for numerous nonprofit boards, either as a board member or as a volunteer, I feel as if I am a good person and have contributed to society. And I've also had my home vandalized in Cortez. I've been spit upon, not in Cortez, but I have been spit upon. And it means a lot when we do things like these proclamations. It really does just kind of recognize the achievements and the contributions that LGBTQ people give to their communities. And I don't think that it should ever be diminished. So I'm actually really proud that the Cortez City Council has chosen to do the proclamation.
Thank you for sharing your experiences, Matt. All right, we're going to move on to 4C, or 20...
Point of order, Mayor. Are we going to take a vote to accept this proclamation?
I don't think we normally do.
We should. We usually do. We did last year.
It's an action by the city.
Yeah.
Okay, we can take a vote to accept this.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the proclamation for Pride Month in the City of Cortez.
Second.
Motion made by Kiefhoffer and seconded by DeHaven.
DeHaven.
Aye.
Spruill.
Aye.
Dobry.
Aye.
Yazzie.
Aye.
Kiefhoffer.
Aye.
Rainey.
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. All right, thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on to 4C on our agenda, which is the April 2023 financial statements. This will be presented by Kelly Koski, our Finance Director.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In your council packets this time, you will find the April 2023 financial statements. Just a couple of important items to note. Over in the general fund, we received the first of our new leased vehicles for the police department. The lease payment is going to be showing up over in the equipment fund, as the police department is a part of the general fund. So that is the first leased vehicle that the city of Cortez has had, I think, ever. Over in the community network fund, you'll see the Vero lease payment was received in April, and it shows up in the CCN fund right now. This will be used to pay back the general fund for prior loans, and it will not be remaining in the CCN fund. So it'll look like it went away, but it goes back over to the general fund. Also, at the end of May, I was able to attend the annual GFOA conference, the Government Finance Officers Association conference in Portland, Oregon, where over 6,000 people attended from the U.S., Canada, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. I was chosen for a scholarship that covered the conference registration, and I was part of a really cool leadership interactive group that met with Brian Elms. He is the founder of Peak Performance. One of the really nice things that we got to do is we went through our budget processes. And at the table of 8 people that I sat with, we were the only organization that did not do our budget on spreadsheets. We had 8 different people from all across the country, all different sizes of organizations, and so we decided, since our process was different than what they were doing with their spreadsheets, that we would go through the exercise of peak performance and identify the weaknesses in our budget process. One of the interesting things that we found was that when you were looking at a process for merely efficiency, our budget process only had one weak point, and that was the period of time when I send the budgets to the department heads, and they have time to review those, put in their information, and send it back to me. Well, if you do look at it from a strictly efficiency standpoint, the fastest way to get from point A to point B, I could say that that's a weakness, but I really do like being able to have the directors spend some time on their budget before we come back and have discussions with the city manager and I. So in my mind, that was a very minor weakness, but it was shocking that out of the small group that we were in, we were the only ones that were not using spreadsheets anymore. Everybody was so jealous.
Can I ask, like, how big were those governments, like those folks were representing, and also why?
So the other agencies that we had were from North Carolina, New Jersey, California, Oregon. We had sanitation districts. We had towns that were larger than us. We were actually also the smallest of the agencies in that group. And when we talked about the process that we went through, they all wanted to know, who do we get a hold of here at this conference so that we can talk about implementing that with us? So it was surprising, yeah. We are cutting edge, whether you want to think it or not. Yeah, I'm really grateful for the opportunity that I got to go, and I got to meet with the Small Government Forum. I attended sessions that were discussing politics and budgeting, removing bias in a bid evaluation, and building understanding with your Public Works Department, just to name a few. It was a very packed schedule for the conference. I'm grateful to have had that opportunity. I'm so looking forward to be able to take the information and the contacts that I was able to build with that conference and bring it back to the other employees here at the City of Cortez. Yeah. Any questions?
I have a question about the CCN network, you know, because the general fund had paid that $300,000, and then there was a payment plan with interest from that fund. Is the check we got from Vero kind of affect that? Is that separate? Is it?
So the check that we received from Vero not only will pay off that $300,000 that was created in January of 2021, but in total there was $1.5 million that had been loaned to CCN from the general fund.
Okay.
In previous years.
So we kind of have in writing that that is done, you know, like that those payment plans are no longer necessary or whatever, that it's paid off?
So it's going to take quite a bit of work for the finance department to create the repayment of all of those different loans that have come across from several different years, but at the end it will show that it moved from CCN back over to the general fund to pay off the receivable that the general fund had.
Okay, I appreciate you finishing that kind of that paper trail.
Oh yeah, yeah. We also will be tracking that along with our water loan payments that we had through a software that Jeremy and I have shared the expense on. It's called DebtBook. And so this software not only helps us keep track of all of the loan payments that we have for the city, whether they're to outside organizations or they're interfund loans like CCN back over to the general fund. But it's also going to help us track all of our leases that Jeremy has out at the airport, like all of the hangar leases, and it'll also help us track the leases that we have for the new police department vehicles and the leases that'll be created for the new refuse vehicles also. So. Anything else?
Oh, my one last question, sorry. The police vehicle, are they all have decals then on them now? Because I remember when they first came in, I saw a lot of just white ones without it saying Cortez Police.
So they will, and Chief Knuckles could speak to that a little more.
Yeah, Mayor, can we have Chief Knuckles approach the podium over there to talk about that?
Thank you, Chief.
Mayor, Council, good evening. The reason you're seeing vehicles without graphics, a couple of the vehicles had repairs done, and we're in the process of actually changing the graphic from the old to the new. So with the new patrol vehicles that are coming in this year, they'll have the new graphics, and we will put the new graphics on the unmarked. And then as we start rotating through the vehicles throughout the years, we will put the graphics on, the new graphics on the other vehicles. So that's why you're seeing vehicles without them. We're just in a transition phase.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate the knowledge.
Thank you, Chief Knuckles. Any other questions?
It doesn't look like it. Okay.
Thank
you, Kelly. Okay, we're going to move on to 4D. On our agenda, discussion on council chamber AV equipment purchase, presented by Shay Alderud, our IT guy.
Madam Mayor, Council, this is for further discussion on the council AV equipment purchase that we're doing in 2023. In your package, you have the background and the previous discussions that have gone on for quite some time. And council has requested further input, and staff welcomes the discussion. So whatever questions or concerns you may have, I would like to get those, get them done.
These price differences, is that the difference between like reducing what equipment, or are things actually lowering in price now?
From 22 to 23?
Yeah.
Or just 1 year in general?
This, in your discussion in the memo from 22 to 23.
So in 2022, we were going to do everything where you had the voting panels and the laptops and the speakers and the mics up on the dais. And we took those out for the 23 pricing. We actually went out and asked these companies that did the 22 to give us a new quote without that equipment in it. And they were the only three that could bid on it because they were the only three that met the qualifications of the previous RFP. So I thought that was the only fair thing we could do.
Okay. So these are new prices based on reduced functionality?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So what is, or where is the closest support for these? So if something were to happen, if we don't have like the full package that we talked about last year, if someone has to come and repair an item that's a part of this package, would they need to come from like Denver, Salt Lake? Is that a part of it?
For which?
Is this totally unsupported, like whichever?
For which quote? So
next level. I just made that up.
All right, Councilman, for the AVI SPL, the 22 and 23 both have built-in support, and that starts just like any other tech support. The same with the Ford AV, where it's phone contact, and then they telecommute, or over the wire, if you will, for support in that way. If there does need to be hardware or software replacement, then they would send a tech on site. That is part of the package for the first year. The next level does not have support structure built in. Their support is time and material, but they are in Farmington, New Mexico, so it's kind of a trade-off there.
So I guess, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, so this was a while ago when we talked about this the first time. And I know that you kind of listed off what we took off of the original request. Can you remind us what was on the original request that remains? I feel like TVs, I recall TVs being on there, is that correct?
Yeah, so it would be 3 TVs, 4 cameras, all the equipment in the back room, the streaming equipment, and new goosenecks around the dais and in the penalty box.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So, oh.
City Manager Sanders, could you review the budget, what council approved in the budget for this?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't recall the exact number, but I believe it was close to 90,000 for this, just so we had a little bit of a buffer. But the only thing that's in the budget for this current fiscal year would be the next Devil bid.
In the current budget for 23 that was approved in 22, we have council approved $86,734.86.
Yeah, so I was close.
Yeah, and it seems like, so these bids are all to provide the same equipment, like Next Level is significantly under the other two. Is there a reason in your professional opinion that it would be that way?
You have significantly less support. They're 8x5, that's it. They're not 24/7, 365.
I still feel like a little confused on what exactly is and isn't in the package, and I feel like, I don't know if I'm suggesting us move several steps back, but I almost feel like we should have a conversation about what functionality we want to see in this room, what functionality you guys need, and where we meet in the middle, you know, because like I think we each have some ideas of like what is missing from here, what would make things work better, and I don't know if maybe you felt like you've already captured all that.
Shay, if I can maybe fill this one. Last year when this was presented, we were given a number by council to shoot for more like $81,000. So yes, our functionality went way down, but we took, this is bare bones. This is the Ford Pinto that will get you to work, but it's not going to be fancy. It's got the AM in-dash and the roll-down windows, but it will get you there. You know, to get more than that, we're going to have to invest more than that. So, you know, I feel like, you know, we can absolutely talk this to death. We can get a whole list of what's needed, and we kind of did that a year ago, and, you know, that was too much for our budget appetite at the time. So we were given a number, and that's what we shot for. This is what we can get for that number.
Yeah, I guess I feel like that's not the best approach of just like, okay, make what fits into this price instead of like, what do we really need? What do we want to prioritize? And then learning what that costs and deciding like, yes, this is what we want to invest in this, and if it costs that, we'll spend that. Or if it's too much, then we're like, okay, we recognize that those are priorities, but we can't afford it right now. I don't know. Am I off base?
We just need some clear council direction. I mean, we did a very robust presentation last year, and that was not accepted. And we were told to go back to the drawing board, which we did. Unfortunately, it's taken a lot longer than I would have hoped, but it did come back, and it's essentially the lower package. I mean, you know, if council wants functionality from the dais, and I would really love to see something like that, but you're really looking at the $200,000 range to get some of this. Some of what I'd like to see, you know, but it's the grande package is, you know, where each counselor has a screen in front of them. If they want to talk, they hit that screen, and it essentially puts them in a queue with the mayor to be called upon. There's a lot of different things in there that we would like to see, and if that's what council wants, we can do whatever. I'm just here to tell you that that's going to cost closer to the $200,000 range. This is just going to get us functioning with essentially what you've got right now, just working.
I mean, because it's getting to the point we need to do something.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
What's the time frame in getting this equipment, like once whatever's approved?
If I would have ordered the next level purchase in February, it would be here around July this year. So it's usually about 6 months, 6 to 7 months.
And what is the life cycle of this kind of equipment?
If you take care of this and keep it cool, 8 years, 10 years.
Okay, thank you.
Would this equipment upgrade the quality and sound at all of our YouTube videos of our meetings, the recordings?
Everything that we stream out would be probably 8K minimum, and everything we stream out would be high quality. Depending on what you have in your home would depend on the quality of what you see.
Because sometimes just the recordings, even, like, I can't hear the recordings, like, not live streaming.
Yeah, sometimes, Councilwoman, sometimes what causes that is people do not speak clearly and loud enough into the microphone, so therefore it doesn't feed through the buffer and out across the recordings. That's usually what causes that. And 90% of the time, it's the person at home's personal equipment. If what we're streaming out of here, we try to give it the best quality that we can with what we have at this moment. But if we get better technology, then we can provide better things.
I mean, it was really painful when we had Lydia call in and try to participate over phone. You know, she struggled to hear us.
Mayor, if I could just ask Shay a question, please.
Yes.
Shay, would we have more functionality for the scenario like when Councilmember DeHaven had to call in a meeting or two ago? Would this new equipment have that functionality?
If she's using the city-provided equipment, yes. If she's using something that we don't care for on a day-to-day basis, then again, that's whatever the person is using at their home, at their residence.
So as long as the council member's using city-provided equipment, that will work?
Yeah, we make sure those CPUs and everything are up to specs with the current streaming capabilities.
Okay.
But that would be using a computer. She called in with a cell phone, and that's not a city-provided.
Again, that's...
So it would have to be through a computer.
Yeah, we would have the functionality then like we do. So like for the phone system now, we have the Avaya capability of doing meetings. We would be able to incorporate, if we get the package, we would want to incorporate that streaming system to where if you were calling in, you would use all the city-provided equipment and capabilities, and they would all tie together and be designed to work together. So yes, you would get a better quality overall.
I guess not knowing all the specific differences besides, really the price between the 2023 price between the three of them, I would just as soon go with the lowest price one, to be honest with you, rather than to go with the other two. I mean, if there were some significant technological differences between the three, I would, I don't really see those kind of laid out. So my feeling would be to go with the least expensive one. And for me, it kind of also goes back to, we definitely want functionality. We want functionality for a period of time, but we also have to ask ourselves questions like how many people access, via YouTube or the meeting live? How many times does somebody need to call in? That sort of thing. So, those are just my thoughts on it. I would probably go with the lesser price of the three.
I would concur with Councilman Kefauver on that.
I would agree.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not really getting sold any, like you're not selling it to me, Shay, where I would say like, let's go expensive, because I'm just, in my Luddite mind, I'm like, there's just numbers on the page, so.
So the selling pitch would be that if we're having this meeting tonight and something happens, AVI SPL would support it tonight. Next Level would get here tomorrow or the next day. That's the functionality of it. It's not the technology, depending on which way you go, and there's a lot of caveats to it. I mean, I don't,
Do you have any idea how many people listen to this?
right now, I think on YouTube, our average stream, our average hits on YouTube are anywhere from 100 to 150 a week.
I'd say also, I mean, I've gone back and watched council meetings that are years old. I think we're also making a historical archive of all of our meetings so that people can watch them at a later date as well, like years into the future. It's not just about like who's physically watching right now or in the next 2 days, you know? I think making a proper record of our meetings is important, not just in the short term.
Right.
And I'm just concerned that we're gonna buy the bare minimum and then need to replace it in 5 years and end up spending more. Or, I mean, if we do go with this lowest price one, if we decide that we want more functionality, can we build on it? Is that a safe bet, or do we kind of paint ourselves in a corner with this?
You're kind of painting yourself into a corner, because if the technology changes over the next 2 years, then it won't be, you hope that they build in backwards compatibility. Sometimes they don't, they just move forward.
So there's no difference besides having a person on call with the, like, Ford AV and Next Level, and that's worth like, you know, over $100,000, that one person?
Well, it's not just one person.
Or the team?
Yeah, you literally are paying for a team. And it's not just the support, Councilwoman, it's the chips that they use are different depending on who their supplier is. Every piece of hardware is different. They're going to use different hardware depending on who their partners in supply are. AVI SPL is just a bigger, more robust company. They have a better team to put behind you, and you pay for it. Ford AV is the same thing. The bad part about Ford AV is they're proprietary. Next Level is you kind of get what you get. I mean, they're a good company, but we've had problems with them in the past. I mean, there is that too. There's give and take on both of them, on all of them. So, I mean, I just kind of, that's why I'm asking council for further discussion to try to help push this along to make a decision.
I think that kind of information from you and other people that use Next Level is also really valuable. So we've used them in the past and have had issues. Because I agree, I feel I was very pro updating our systems. I think it's really important. And, you know, $80,000 is still a good chunk of change if we're getting something that's not Next Level.
And we could buy two systems for the price of one of the other ones. So if we did need to replace it, I mean, just kind of looking at the math.
Right, yeah.
You're getting better help through AVI. Are you getting a better product? I don't think we're hearing, are we going to get a better product, or is it the same product with different support?
It's different products, and it's probably a higher quality product because they can afford, they know where to go to get the better quality equipment. And two, I mean, the other thing, as Mayor Medina mentioned, if we have a further discussion on this later, to put to discuss everything that's available and then whittle it down to what you want in a specific package. And, I mean, that's another option. And we can go through that. I mean, if city manager and Kelly are in agreement, I mean, that's just an option.
Drew,
Yes.
would we even have it in our budget to meet the next option above?
No, council member, we would not. We would have to wait until next year and perhaps budget for it, and that's not a for sure. But I think watching this and looking here, I too am becoming a little confused on what we're getting here and would like a lot more information on exactly what we're looking at and what those functions are. So to be quite honest, I would just as soon the council move past this tonight and let us tee this up and try again next time. We'll get it better and we'll give you more information and then you can make a more informed decision. But tonight, this is just a presentation only anyway that's not set up for a motion. So I'm guessing let's move on from this tonight, or at least that would be my suggestion, and let us try to get you some more information.
Can I just make an ask? Like, I would like to see what the proposals were. Like, that would be nice.
I share that with you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you, Shay. Okay, we're going to move on our agenda. 5 is public hearings. We have none. 6, unfinished business. There is none. So we're going to move on to 7, new business. 7A is a 2023 clarifier drive replacement project, and this is presented by Brian Peckins, our Director of Public Works.
Madam Mayor, City Council, we're going to discuss the bid results on the 2023 clarifier drive replacement project. Our staff compiled the bid documents and advertised the project on the city's website, BidNet. We had 69 contacts and in the Cortez Journal. The invitation to bid was downloaded by 17 contacts and 8 sets of plans were picked up from the service center. An informational pre-bid meeting was held on May 8th with 3 potential bidders in attendance. The bid opening was held on May 25th with the following 2 bids being received: Mueller Construction at $153,522 and TKF Contracting at $155,628,000. The background on this is the City of Cortez Public Works Department is seeking a qualified contractor to remove and replace the drive unit on the solid contact clarifier located at the water treatment plant. The drive unit that is to be replaced has been in service since 1992 and has developed an oil leak that cannot be repaired. Without proper lubrication, the drive will fail and needs to be replaced, thus ensuring proper pre-treatment of our drinking water. Monies for the clarifier drive replacement project have been budgeted in the water fund, and while both companies are qualified to perform the work, Mueller will meet the city's needs at the lowest price for the drive replacement. The staff recommends that the council award the 2023 clarifier drive replacement project to Mueller Construction Services at their bid price of $153,522.
So these came in really under our budget, which is nice.
Yeah, yes.
Can I just make a comment about the layout of your memo? Because I really appreciate that you've listed how many folks clicked into it, how many actually submitted. I think that's really nice to see. So thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's basically a mechanical piece of equipment that's failed. We need to replace it, or we're putting our water treatment plant in jeopardy, so.
So the existing piece has been in place for basically 30 years. Is that about the life cycle, is that about the expected life cycle, or is that past? And I guess I'm trying to ask, what life cycle could we expect out of this?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's probably past. I can check and find out.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Have we, I don't know if this is too specialized of a piece of equipment, but have we used either Mueller Construction or before, like since it's the one we're going with?
Again, I can check. I'm not sure if we've used either one of those companies.
Okay. Sorry if somebody just asked that.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that council award the 2023 clarifier drive replacement project to Mueller Construction Incorporated at its bid price of $153,522.
Second.
Motion made by Kiefhoffer and seconded by DeHaven and Spruill. Spruill? Spruill. Okay, I couldn't tell who's faster. Spruill.
Dobry,
Aye.
Kiefhoffer,
Aye.
DeHaven,
Aye.
Rainey,
Aye.
Yazzie,
Aye.
Spruill,
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. All right, we're going to move on to 7B, Resolution Number 12, Series 2023, a Drought Management and Mitigation Plan, presented again by Brian Peckins, our Director of Public Works.
Okay, Madam Mayor and City Council, we're discussing adopting a drought management and mitigation plan for the city. And although the city has an approved water conservation plan, a drought management and mitigation plan is needed to prepare for responses to varying drought conditions. The primary focus of the plan is on best management practices to manage water demand while evaluating options for alternate water sources. The plan is a framework of forward-leaning planning for scenarios and objectives, managerial and technical actions, and potential response systems in order to better respond to drought conditions. It establishes a drought management task force to monitor and assess drought conditions and make recommendations to the City Council as necessary. The plan is a living document and will be updated on a periodic basis or as needed. In addition, having an approved drought management plan will assist in qualifying for water-related grants. Staff recommends that the Council adopt the Drought Management and Mitigation Plan through Resolution Number 12, Series 2023.
Have you received any comments from the public or anything from since our last meeting?
No.
Okay.
Thanks for your work on this, Brian. I think it's really important. I think sometimes we forget when we have a really crazy winter like we just had, or El Nino coming up this coming winter, the drought is kind of a persistent problem.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you.
Once adopted, how soon will we need to immediately assign a drought committee? Listed here.
Yeah, that's one of the things we're going to talk about. We've got a Water Conservation Committee that meets pretty regularly. We're going to discuss at the next meeting whether that can morph into the Drought Task Force or whether we need to have a separate body to do that. So we're going to talk about that at our meeting on Thursday.
Okay.
Okay, and you'll give us an update? You'll give us an update?
Yes.
Perfect. And I appreciate you always getting back to us when we have questions and you don't have them right away, that you get back to us with those answers. Really appreciate it,
I
Brian.
try. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I move the council approve Resolution Number 12, Series 2023, adopting the drought management and mitigation plan for the city of Cortez.
Second.
Motion made by Dobry and seconded by Kiefhoffer.
Rainey,
Aye.
Spruill, DeHaven,
Aye.
Kiefhoffer, Yazzie,
Aye.
Dobry,
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. All right, thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to ordinance number 1321, Series 2023, proposed update to Section 2-3, Council Rules of Procedure, presented by Drew Sanders, our city manager.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and Council. Regarding this ordinance, we're requesting that it will be approved on first reading. The purpose of this is the Section 2.3 of the Council Rules of Procedure generally. You know, and you can't rush into this stuff sometimes, but this one was last updated in 1968 and contains some outdated language and requirements that are not really in keeping with the current needs of the city and the city council. There are outdated references to gender and notification practices that are not in keeping with modern methods, and a requirement for strict adherence to Robert's Rules of Order, as well as others. The need has arisen to update these rules to reflect these current practices. These items have been addressed in the version that we have presented to council. In your packet, you also see the working copy that City Attorney Coleman and I worked on to come to these conclusions. Just on a point, if I could touch on Robert's Rules, Mayor, strict observance of Robert's Rules of Order. One of the only organizations in this country that does that is Congress. And Congress literally has a bank of parliamentarians that help them through it. Were we to strictly observe Robert's rules, we would be here all night, almost every time, just because of how tedious and slow that is. We are suggesting to council that you adopt this and use Robert's rules as a guide, which is exactly what the practices we've been doing anyway. So with that, Mayor and council, I submit that to you for your consideration.
I'd like to comment, you know, personally, I think the way that we run the meetings, I know that Robert's rules suggest that you put a motion on the table right away, but I feel like that would be very confusing for our community and for us, like at least me personally. I think it helps to be presented with all the information, have a discussion, and then kind of have a formulated motion come across, and then we vote on it. And if it fails, then we can re-vote. You know, I feel like the flow we have works better for understanding what we're talking about and what we're passing. So that's kind of why I advocated that we bring this up. And Colorado Municipal League has a lot of information regarding this, and they basically suggest and say that communities are doing the same thing, that adhering strictly to Robert Rules of Orders is kind of outdated, and it doesn't really like help things flow. And then also on a personal note, I appreciate you adding the her pronouns in there, even though I'm only the third female mayor. Hopefully I'm not the last. So I think having it just his is old as well. So.
Well, we'll try not to wait another 50 some odd years before updating it again.
Madam Mayor, what's the word? Okay. I move that council approve on first reading ordinance number 1321, series 2023, approving a revision to section 2-3, council rules of procedure generally, of the Cortez City Code, and set the ordinance for a second reading and public hearing on July 11th, 2023.
Second.
Motion made by Yazzie and seconded by DeHaven.
Dobry,
Aye.
Kiefhoffer,
Aye.
Spruill,
In meeting the section K, yes.
Rainey,
Aye.
It says, it changes from yay to yes on your form.
The ordinance has not been passed yet, sir.
Yay.
Rainey, yay, yes. DeHaven,
Yay!
Yazzie,
Yay?
and Medina.
Yay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for spending time on that, Drew. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mayor and council.
Okay, we are moving on to 7D, appointment and reappointments to our city advisory board. Thank you, Eric, for being here. Okay, we interviewed tonight Matt Joseph for the Cortez Arts Advisory Board. He's a new community member. We interviewed Ty Rogers, who is currently on the Cortez Advisory Board and is looking for another 2-year term. And we interviewed Linda Toll, who has been on the Cortez Historic Preservation Board since 2004. Did I say that right? Mm-hmm. Since 2004, and she would like to be reappointed for a 3-year term.
Madam Mayor, I move the council appoint Matt Joseph to the Cortez Arts Advisory Board for a 3-year term, reappoint Ty Rogers to the Cortez Arts Advisory Board for a 2-year term, and reappoint Linda Toll to the Cortez Historic Preservation Board for a 3-year term.
Second.
Motion made by Dobry and seconded by DeHaven and Rainey.
Spruill,
Yes.
Yazzie,
Yes.
Rainey,
Yay.
Dobry,
Yes.
Kiefhoffer,
Aye.
DeHaven,
Yes.
Medina.
Aye.
Thank you.
Are all 3 accepted as yeses? Aye, yay, and nay, or, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, 8 is draft resolution / ordinances. We have none. So then we're moving on to 9 on the agenda, city attorney report.
I'll make it short. I don't have one.
Okay. We'll move on to city manager report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mine's not quite that short. The following is my report for the current term. First of all, and I think our Kelly Koski already mentioned this, but I'll just re-mention it, that the 2020 audit, including the single audit report for the airport, is now complete. We're officially done with the 2020 audit and move forward with the 2021 audit. Our finance department is well ahead of it. In fact, when I say this, they've actually been working on 21 for a while. So both the 21 and 22 audits are hopefully going to be completed late this fall. Number two, Ms. Naomi Dobbs, the Southwest Colorado Regional Director for Congresswoman Boebert, met with us last Tuesday on June 6th. And during that, and we kind of became in contact with her from the local CML meeting, and we were looking to her, that office, to see if we can get any assistance with federal grants, et cetera. One of the things that came out of that is she has offered to help us with what's called inquiry letters that she can send out to granting agencies that would basically ask them whether or not we would be somebody who could expect to get funding from them, which will save us a ton of time in the finance department trying to do that. So that we felt was very productive, and we will be using that. Also, we received the first of 3 refuse trucks at the Public Works Department. They will be conducting a truck naming contest, and I think the kickoff on that is actually this coming at the third Thursday event. The new refuse truck will be on display at that point in Montezuma Park. Well, I'm assuming around Montezuma Park. Creighton won't go for in. The new street sweeper should arrive at the end of June of this year, and an additional 2 refuse trucks by the end of 2023, and a side load refuse truck by the end of December of this year. Public Works is looking to the community to also name the incoming trucks as well, and that's part of the process. He just showed me the process today. It's actually going to be pretty, it should be really fun. As part of that, we also got a list of names that are off limits from the library, or from the library, I'm sorry, from the airport, since they've been well ahead of it with all their equipment. So anyway, a couple more things. One is that Vero Clear Networks is starting construction on the fiber build out this week, and Rick, correct me if I'm wrong, but Montezuma Avenue is the first part of that. Also, Mayor and Council, the board-to-board meeting, the next one with, including the tribe and everyone, is scheduled tentatively for Thursday, August 24th from 7 to 9 p.m. in Mancos. We have, believe Wendy Mimiaga sent something out to council on that, and we're requesting your responses to whether or not you can make that. Also, we just wanted to point out, so I can get this in the minutes, that we received a comment by email that has been distributed to council from the Zoo Gallery, namely Jody Jarling, regarding the hospital birthing center, and that will be entered into the minutes and the record. We also received another one that has also been distributed to council, but will be entered into the minutes, regarding the housing needs assessment from Charles Jeter, and that will be entered in the minutes. With that being said, Mayor and Council, that's all I have. Any of your questions?
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to City Council committee reports. That's 11 on the agenda. 11A is the mayor's report on the workshop. So in our workshop today, we interviewed 3 potential board members for open positions. And then we had a joint workshop with our Planning and Zoning Commission about the housing policy. Had a presentation from Sarah McLean of our consulting business about the priorities for what kind of housing policies we want and what we're trying to address. And then we had a general council discussion. First was brought up the closing of the birthing center at the hospital, and then Councilmember Kiefhofer attended the housing policy open house events that happened over the last 2 days, and was really impressed with our staff's coordination and setup of that. All right. We'll move on to other board reports. I'll start down with David and go through council to see board reports. Do you have anything to share with us?
I do. The Arts Advisory Committee met first Monday of this month, and I'm happy to say we have, I believe, 3 new members now, which we're building and we're growing, and I'm very optimistic about where we're going from here.
Awesome, thank you.
We have a Parks Recreation Advisory Board meeting on Friday morning.
I met with the library board. They're busy with their summer programmings and the summer reading club. So if you want to read some books or go see some authors or other events happening, check out their flyers at the library. Sorry, Isabella. It's been a long day. Yep. All right.
Last week, I attended the Historic Preservation Board. The board swore in the 2 new members that we approved at our last meeting, and then also met with the State Historic Preservation Office representative about continuing to be a certified local government. So all is well with Historic Preservation Board in Cortez.
Nice.
No board reports, but I did want to say, I just wanted to give kudos to staff for all the work they did for recruiting for the boards. It was really cool to see how many people have applied to be on the boards, and that we've got like a full arts committee now, right? Wow, congrats. Yes, thanks.
Went to a golf advisory summary and, or a meeting, and our revenues are down just a little bit, about 3%, but that was probably because of the weather and the late start. Right now, our golf course is very playable and in great condition.
Great. And then my board report is the Mesa Verde Country is going through their hiring process for a new executive director. Okay. So we're going to move on to the last, one of the last items on our agenda, executive sessions. Okay.
You can do it. We have 2 executive sessions, so I move that council go into executive session to discuss the possible acquisition of real estate under CRS Section 24-6-4024A for the purposes of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and/or instructing negotiators regarding the possible acquisition of real estate under CRS Section 24-6-4024E. And I also move that council go into executive session for discussion of a personnel matter, specifically to conduct an annual performance review of the Cortez City Manager and discuss possible amendments to Mr. Sanders' employment contract as authorized by CRS Section 24-6-4024FI. The executive session will not involve any specific employee who has requested discussion of the matter be an open session, any member of this body or any elected official, the appointment of any person to fill an office of this body or of any elected official, or personnel policies that do not require the discussion of matters personal to particular employees.
Second.
Madam Mayor, because the executive sessions deal with different topics and are listed on the agenda as item 12A and 12B, I recommend that you take separate votes for each motion.
Okay.
I'll second item A.
Okay, then should we vote and then second item B? Okay. Linda?
Aye.
Kiefhoffer.
Aye.
Spruill.
Yes.
Dobry.
Aye.
Rainey.
Yay.
Yazzie.
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. And then,
I'll second item B.
okay, motion made by Dobry and seconded by Yazzie.
Dobry.
Aye.
Yazzie.
Aye.
DeHaven.
Aye.
Rainey.
Aye.
Spruill.
Yes.
Kiefhoffer.
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Totally understand if you don't want to stick around. This is probably going to take a while. And the only thing after this is public comment. So thank you guys for spending your night with us.